Hey everybody, welcome back to My Wings of Refuge. Y'all, it has been a crazy week because we have had storms and then the sun would come out and then storms, and so it has just been crazy. So, saying that, I have not cut down trees and made my wood chips for my garden. But I will, because I have to. My Back to Eden garden has to have the wood chips. And luckily, I still have some of those chips in there left over from last year. So we are good. And as long as it's raining and the weather's cool, I don't have to worry about trying to hold in that moisture. So today, with all of that rain, has also caused my plantain to grow exponentially. So that's what we're going to do today, because with all of the gardening that I have been trying to do lately in between rains and pulling weeds, I also have been pulling up a lot of poison oak or poison ivy. Those leaves of 3 that you want to let be, I tend to just pull them up by hand. And so to make sure I don't get any major poison oak or ivy outbreaks, I want to harvest some of my plantain to make some wonderful salves and some infused oils. So today, before this rain starts, I want to harvest some of this beautiful plantain. I have a small plantain garden going here, and I have it fenced off, so my chickens have never been in it. Yet, I'm going to harvest all that I can in here, and then I'm going to remove the fencing and let in the chickens. So the ones I'm planning to put in the dehydrator, I'm going to go ahead and just lay these out to kind of pat these dry a little. I'm going to save some to go ahead and do a quick batch that I'm going to go ahead and just put in the blender. These don't have to be perfect. I just don't want too much moisture. It'll just take a lot longer in the dehydrator if they're very wet. You could also put these in a salad spinner, just a drying rack, however you would want to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to load up my little rack. Just continue until you get all of these loaded. I'm just going to close the door here, turn on the power. I'm going to set the temperature at the lowest temperature. And then I'm going to set my timer. I'm going to set it for 4 hours, and I'll just keep an eye on it, because our goal here is not to cook these. Our goal here is to wilt them. And the wilting of these will be for our long-term storage, as opposed to the quick one we're about to make. So for this quick version, what we're going to do is we're going to fill a mason canning jar with our leaves. We're going to literally just cut them into chunks. Chop, chop, chop. And we're going to put these right in this jar, and we're going to fill it. We have our full jar, and now we're going to fill it with oil, olive oil. We're now just going to fill this to the top with olive oil. So now we're just going to set our jar right inside the crock pot, and we're going to fill it up with water fairly high. The more water so we can heat it all the way to the top without any water worried about going in our jar, because we're going to leave the lid off. So I'm going to fill it up with a little bit more water, and we're going to set our temperature to low, and we're going to leave this for about 8 hours. So our timer has gone off, and what we have here is just simply wilted. It is not crispy, but it has gotten a lot of water out of our leaves. So we're ready to begin the next step with our dehydrated plantain. So what we're going to do now are literally take these leaves and we're going to put them in our jar. I am going to cut them just a little bit. Some people like to cut them before they dry them. I find them easier to stay on the sheet if I cut them later and leave them whole. But do whichever way works best for you. And now we're going to add our olive oil. Make sure the olive oil gets all the way down in all those little nooks and crannies. You may have to top it off with a little bit more oil. Okay, just a hair more. We're going to put our lid on. I like these black ball lids because they actually get on really tight and don't let as much air in, and they store really well. And I can save all my rings and my metal lids for canning. But there we go. So I'm going to actually set this one. This is the one with the dehydrated, wilted, not cooked, but just wilted leaves. And this needs to age in these jars in a cool, dark place in my cabinet for, say, about 4 weeks. And then we will be able to pick this up. This will be then infused oils, and we will carry this exactly where we do what's cooking in our crock pot that we're going to do here in just a few minutes. Actually, in 3 hours for me, a few minutes for you. Since our slow method of the dehydrating the leaves is simmering or just sitting on the shelf, steeping you might say, we're now going to work on this one here. It is actually ready. This is our quicker one. Releasing some steam. We're just going to pull this jar out. There we go. So, while that's cooling just a tad, I'm going to take my beeswax, and for a cup of the oil, you want about an ounce of the beeswax. So that's about 10 teaspoons. I like to put mine in the microwave. It just works for me. There we go. I want to push all of that yumminess right into this glass container. Okay, so we've got this strained out, and we ended up with 1.5 cups. So I'm going to pour in my melted beeswax, and we're going to stir it really well. Then if you want, you can add in some lavender essential oils or peppermint if you like. I'm going to add about 20 drops. And stir. We're going to pour this in. Little tins work really well too. It's already starting to gel, so we just let this cool completely. Then we'll put our lids on it. Don't forget to put a label on it, and we're ready to go. So if you get poison oak or poison ivy or scrapes or anything like that, this is your go-to salve. Now, my granddaughter was here yesterday running and playing outside, and she fell and she cut her leg, scratched it up mainly in the gravel. This would have been perfect, but I didn't have any ready and made up. But today I do. So the next time she's here, I will be ready. So this is actually going to be perfect. So can't wait. So you can see here it's already starting to set up. I think it's looking fantastic. If you want to speed up this process, you can also just set it in your refrigerator for a little bit and you'll be good to go. I hope you enjoyed today's video, y'all. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up and please subscribe. And this stuff is just, for me, it is gold. And so this is something you want to have in your cabinet if you don't already. And so here you have it. Y'all stay tuned next week. Hopefully, if the weather will participate, we will be back in the garden and getting it completely wood chipped in. Stay tuned. See you next time.